Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin might be best known these days as a ceaseless font of crazy quotes. The latest being this thing he said yesterday about COVID vaccines.
I think we probably should have limited the distribution to the vulnerable, to people that really aren't, to the very young. I see no reason to be pushing vaccines on people. And the science tells us that vaccines are 95% effective. So if you have a vaccine, quite honestly, what do you care if your neighbor has one or not? Why is this big push to make sure everybody gets a vaccine and to the point where you better impose it? You're going to shame people. You're going to force them to carry a card to prove that they've been vaccinated so they can participate in society. I'm getting highly suspicious of what's happening here.
Why this big push to vaccinate everyone? Why would we want to do that? Well, because if the vaccine is 95% effective, the number of people that are still going to get sick is going to be dependent on how much community transmission there is. Generally, this is not rocket science, Senator. So why do you care if someone is vaccinated or not? Well, let's just look at Kentucky this week, where an unvaccinated worker set off an outbreak at a U.S. nursing home where most residents were immunized. Dozens of infections, including in 22 residents and employees, were all fully vaccinated. 3 residents died, 1 vaccinated and 2 unvaccinated. So yeah, everyone getting vaccinated suppresses the disease, which is the point. Now, Johnson has since tried to clean up what he said by releasing a statement today, basically calling his remarks a legitimate question, which fine, whatever. But his irresponsible vaccine talk comes on the heels of him parroting the popular white supremacist theory that Democrats are importing immigrants to replace certain American voters.
This administration wants complete open borders, and you have to ask yourself why. Is it really they want to remake the demographics of America to ensure that they stay in power forever? Is that what's happening here?
Just asking questions. You know people that just like to ask questions. Then there was the time last month, Ron Johnson said he was not worried about the Capitol rioters, of course, who injured dozens of police officers because they were, quote, people that love this country, unlike Black Lives Matter protesters.
I knew those were people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law. And so I wasn't concerned. Now, had the tables been turned, and Joe, this got me in trouble. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
Truly love law enforcement, the crowd that threatened to murder a cop with his own gun. Perhaps what is really crazy about Senator Johnson is that he's saying all this whole performance of his, it's not coming from some guy from a super conservative hard right state where he has to worry about a primary challenger and he's never going to have to worry about a general election challenger. No, he's saying this stuff as a senator from Wisconsin, a razor-thin swing state, as we saw from the last election. In fact, as of 2021, he is the only statewide elected Republican left in that state. Now, Senator Ron Johnson has not decided if he's going to run for re-election yet, but if he does, he's going to have to answer to those voters in a closely divided Wisconsin, where he thinks, apparently, that out-Trumping Trump is the key to his political future. Someone with a keen eye on Johnson's decision, of course, is Ben Wickler, the chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, and he joins me now. I got to say, when you think about senatorial pairings in this country, you're hard-pressed to come up with one more stark than Tammy Baldwin, who is a progressive Democrat, and Ron Johnson, a Trumpist Republican in your state, which is a very closely divided state. How does this shtick work for him?
So, let's start with, and it's good to see you, Chris. Let's start with acknowledging Ronald H. Johnson is bad for Wisconsin. He's a disastrous senator. He is ill-serving our public. He's ill-serving the country. He shouldn't be in public office. And at the same time, no one should underestimate the strategy he's using here. Wisconsin is maybe the most closely divided state in the nation. We've had 4 presidential elections out of the last 6 come down to less than 1 percentage point. But there was a period where we zigzagged between Obama landslides and Scott Walker landslides. And Ron Johnson came in 2010 when the Scott Walker wave and the Tea Party wave, and then he was reelected in 2016, one of our 1% election years. But he rode the kind of Trump wave into office. He energized a group of voters that loved what Trump was saying. They loved what Ron Johnson was saying, and he got in. And Ron Johnson's strategy is pretty clearly to build and try to foment a Biden backlash and to audition for the kind of new poster child for the Mercers and the right-wing billionaires who fund Republican elections. That's his meal ticket. And that means he has no accountability to the truth, no accountability to the public. It's not a political problem for him, in his view, if people die because of what he says, if he foments and feeds into hate. And that makes it all the more urgent that we defeat him. But I don't think anyone should underestimate this will be a big fight. The public does not like what he's saying, but he is not trying to appeal to the general public. It's really a test of democracy about whether we can throw him out of office.
Right. And it also points to the fact of like these Senate classes matter so much. Right. So if you're in that 2010 class, you know, a lot of states swung hard to the right. And then in the upper Midwest in 2016, right, that Trump vote came out and that helped those folks. So he's banking on a sort of, you know, a 2022 kind of Tea Party redux. I mean, that's the Republican strategy here, right? It's like, it's going to be a mobilization election. It's going to be a base election like 2010 was. It's going to be turnout and opposition to the party in power. What do you do to counter that if that's sort of structurally baked in?
So this is what Republicans want. They want an atmosphere where people are angry and they're trying to, you know, get back by electing people like Ron Johnson. On our side, Democrats are actually delivering for people. So let's take Governor Tony Evers. He's up for re-election. He's an actually real leader who's trying to make people's lives better. And week after week, getting the highest percentage of COVID vaccines into people's arms. Wisconsin's in the top 3. So what we're going to be doing as a party, what our grassroots activists are doing across the state, we'll be actually talking to people. Once we do reach a level of safety, we'll be at their doors. Right now we're on the phones talking about, are you getting vaccine shots? Are you getting stimulus checks into your bank account? You know, shots in the arm, money in the bank. Vote for Democrats. Like, we're actually making a difference in your life. And there's precedent for those things and a strong economy and a sense that things are getting better. The biggest predictor of down ticket success is the popularity of the sitting president. And right now we have a very popular president. We have a very popular governor. And our answer is not to meet his cynicism with more cynicism. It is to make sure people know that he threw himself at doing everything he could to delay the American Rescue Plan, that he's feeding conspiracy theories that make it harder for schools to reopen, and that Democrats are actually doing the things that people want them to do, and it's working.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.